Hello, motherfuckers. John the Other here, obviously. And some of you have probably heard about Members Bill 103, which is a blasphemy bill, but not Christian blasphemy. It's blasphemy against Islam. In Canada, if it passes, there's right now a private members bill, which is going to make criticism of Islam into a hate crime. Yeah. You thought it was bad in Canada already? Nope. It's getting worse. Getting worse. And it doesn't show any signs of slowing down. But that's not even the worst of it, because I want to read you some of the language of a new proposed bill, C-337. This is a bill that will amend the way the courts address sexual assault and how judges are appointed and trained in feminist thought prior to being judges. Let me read you some of this, some of the language of this bill. First, let's start with the preamble. Bill C-337, an act to amend the Judges Act and the Criminal Code, in brackets, sexual assault. Preamble. Whereas survivors of sexual violence in Canada must have faith in the criminal justice system. It's the opening of the preamble, and we already have a piece of feminist propaganda. Survivors of sexual assault. We're talking about people who make accusations, who we don't know if they are in fact a survivor of sexual assault or not until the conclusion of a trial, which is an inquiry into evidence. It's an inquiry into the truth of a matter. But if you start in the language of your law calling an accuser a survivor of sexual assault, you have begun with your conclusion. Yes, some people do get sexual assaulted, and others make up a bunch of crap for attention or fame or advantage in a custody dispute or in a divorce. Let's continue. Whereas Parliament recognizes the importance of a free and independent judiciary. Well, that's a lie. That statement is a lie, because this bill, if it passes, is going to eliminate the possibility of a free and independent judiciary, because they're going to train judges in feminist thought prior to being appointed judges. Whereas parliamentarians have a responsibility to ensure that Canada's democratic institutions reflect the values and principles of Canadians and respond to their needs and concerns. Some Canadians, yes, they're going to reflect the concerns and the needs of a small but vocal minority, the most radical of radical feminists, for whom there is no such thing as an innocent person in an accusation of sexual misconduct. Whereas sexual assault proceedings have a profound effect on the reputations and lives of those affected and present a high possibility of re-victimizing survivors of sexual violence. Once again, we have survivors, the language survivors being used when we're talking about criminal proceedings, which means there's no such thing as a false accusation. There's no such thing even as a person making a mistaken accusation. Yes, because sexual assault proceedings have no negative impact on people who are falsely accused, do they? Never mind that their lives are destroyed, their children are disinherited, their fortunes, should they have a fortune, are dispersed, their careers are terminated, their families are dispersed. Yeah, there's no consequences to them, only to these lying scum who use accusations for political leverage and advantage in other proceedings. Whereas, oh, you're going to love this, whereas problematic interpretations of the law may arise in sexual assault trials. Problematic interpretations of the law, such as when a person lies in court and loses their credibility and the judge judges them to be not credible and finds the person who has been accused not guilty based on presumption of innocence and reasonable doubt of the accusation. Yeah, that's problematic, because there's no such thing as an innocent accused in the world of this particular rhetoric. Whereas Parliament recognizes the value and the importance of judges participating in continuing legal education. This is re-education camp for the judges. The judges are going to have to be educated in feminist thought before they are allowed to be judges. Say goodbye to the possibility of an innocent person being found innocent in a sexual assault trial. Kiss that goodbye. All accused will be guilty. Welcome to hell, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the end of a society built on the principles of justice. And I say the end What horror are we gonna be visited with next week? It's going faster and faster. Thanks very much for watching, and have a lovely, lovely day. Now, before I go, just one more thing. If you thought for a second, for a warm little second of nice fantasy, that voting Conservative and ousting the horrendous Liberals and headed by Prime Minister Justin Zoolander, if you thought that would help, let me quickly disabuse you of that idea. Bill C-337, which is called the Just Act, is the brainchild of Rona Ambrose, who is the interim leader of the Conservative opposition in Canada. That's right. This Bill C-337 is the product of the Conservatives, not the left-leaning Liberals, not the horrendous feminists. The infection infects all parties. There is no escaping by going to the political right. However, if you would like to put up some mild opposition to this, you might want to help support the Lighthouse Project, which I am a co-founder of, by clicking the links below. Thanks very much for listening. And as always, have a lovely, lovely day while you still can.